We're back again with Your Palm Beach Guide. I'm Doug Evans. I'm the president and CEO of the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce. And I'm glad you're joining us today because we've got a really interesting guest today, Larry Buck, who is the president of Seminole Coconut Creek Casino. And Larry is a good friend of the Chamber of Commerce. They sponsor our awards every year loyally, and it's been amazing for us. And in full disclosure, I have been out to the casino dozens of times. I love it for many, many reasons. Of course, I love the game. But I also love the restaurant, NYY Steak, which I think is one of the best steakhouses in the United States. It's amazing.
I agree.
So welcome, Larry. I'm so glad you're here today. So talk to me about your career in gaming, because I understand that you've had quite the career in gaming before you landed in this current position, and I'd like to know a little bit more about your history with this.
People find my history a little bit, humorous, and I try to make it a little bit humorous. When I was a young guy, 21 years old, I graduated from Syracuse University with a degree in accounting. And as a young guy, the only thing I really knew for sure, Doug, is I do not want to be an accountant.
Okay.
And so that was a problem for myself, but also really my dad. And so my plan was to go to grad school full time. And for the summer between undergrad and grad school, I needed a summer job. And I grew up in South Jersey, and Atlantic City was relatively new.
Oh.
So I got a summer job in Atlantic City.
Doing what?
I never left.
What were you doing in Atlantic City?
I was working on the casino floor. My intention was just to have a summer job. And my first job was I guess it's a job that's antiquated. I was, handing out, coins and tokens on the casino floor. Now that's, of course, technologically eliminated. But I worked over the years, as a cashier, and then I was in accounting, actually, in revenue audit. I did a variety of things and just really worked my way up the ladder over time.
What casino were you? What casinos did you work for in Atlantic City?
Initially, I was with Harris, who's a well-known national brand. But pretty quickly, I went to work at the Golden Nugget Atlantic City, and Steve Wynn was the iconic owner of Golden Nugget at the time. Went on to build the Mirage, Encore, and so he was a guy that I worked for early on, and I was really just a kid. And because it was in accounting, I had a lot of numbers, he would come to see me every Monday morning and want to know about the numbers. And I don't think he ever knew my name, Doug, but he was always calling me, kid. Hey, kid, can you tell me this? Hey, kid, can you tell me that? And, he'd say, kid, come take a walk with me, because he'd want to walk through the casino and the restaurants and see what's going on. And he wanted me to, talk to him about, the numbers, that type of thing. And so I never realized at the time, but that was some of the most valuable time I ever had, because he would tell me stories. Mm-hmm. And, those stories led to one of, my mantras when I talk to young kids and they say, how do I succeed in business? I'd say, work with, for, and around other great people. Find yourself a great mentor.
A mentor, right.
And so he was not my mentor. He was just the guy that dragged me around the casino as a young man. But, it could, sure learn a lot from working, around him and with a lot of the other really good executives that we worked with at that time.
So who was your mentor then?
Gosh, I think over time I had a couple. Our CFO at Golden Nugget was a guy named Henry Hornbossel, and I worked with him.
Henry Hornbossel. Love it.
Nice guy out of Atlantic City. He was there, from the very beginning with the Golden Nugget, but he was one of the many guys. But there was a lot of good marketing people there too, and they come and go. But that was a place to sow your oats and learn a lot. And over years, people from that one organization kind of grew and blossomed. And in football, you hear about the coach's tree, but there's the same thing in business where people come from the tree. And they spread their wings and grow throughout the industry.
So with you just kind of worked your way up through a variety of positions, correct?
Yes.
And when was your first big break getting into like senior leadership?
Those breaks come through hard work.
Yeah,
time,
of course.
and also sometimes with a little bit of luck. And so at one point, Steve Wynn sold that building to Bally's, another competitor, and so a lot of the execs left. And I was promoted to controller at that time.
Wow.
And so I obviously stayed, and, that was my first big break. Henry, my mentor at the time and boss said, I told him I want that job. And he said, you're too young. You're too inexperienced. And so,
surprise.
Like me, I just started doing it.
Good.
I just moved my backside into that office and started taking care of business. A couple months later, I said, Henry, I'm doing the job. And he's like, okay. And so that's how I got, that first big promotion.
That's great. That's amazing. To think that, what I love about the story is because it parallels somewhat to my life. I started, learning from the ground floor of the arts and entertainment business. And I would literally sit backstage with the stagehands, the unions, and watch how things would come together. And I would follow people around. I would listen to their stories because I'm a person who also, like you, believes in listening to storytellers because there's a lot of value in it. And that's how I built my career, was listening to people older than me, clearly, who had a lot more experience, and it got me where I needed to be. So what's the difference now between working for a casino that is like a Harrah's or a Golden Nugget or one that's by the tribe itself? Are there primary differences between the two entities?
Some big ones. I guess the first notable thing is when you work for a publicly traded company, the team is really focused on, today, next week, next month, next quarter.
Right.
Following, the numbers and how it's going to impact stock. The tribe is, for the most part, private. And so they focus really on long-term. If you would talk to our COO, Jim Allen, he would tell you that, we're a growth-oriented company. And he'll tell you that, one of our, best good fortune stories is he's got a lot of good projects coming his way. And he's fortunate to need to pick from just the very best projects to go forward with.
Interesting. And the whole genesis of Hard Rock, with the tribe purchasing, I'm not going to get this right, which you'll have to correct me on this. They purchased basically the rights to the name Hard Rock. Is that how that happened?
Well, at first we did not own the name Hard Rock.
Right.
They branded Hard Rock on the casino down here in Hollywood, as well as the one in Tampa. Of course, when you're using somebody else's name, you're paying them. But the results were so positive that they were paying the Hard Rock International a lot of money, and it made sense at that point to just buy the company. So that's ultimately what happened. And initially there was different pieces of the company, and the long story is they ended up buying all of it over time.
So if I go into a Hard Rock cafe in London, it's part of the tribe, it's part of the business, correct?
Yes. So
it's all
Hard Rock International is owned by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Some of the cafes, though, are franchised.
Okay, but it's still part of the whole
Yes,
the whole entity,
it's under the
basically.
Seminole Tribe of Florida umbrella.
So now the Seminole Coconut Creek Casino, how big is it? How many employees do you have? I've been out there a lot, so
we have over 1,700 employees.
It's a lot of employees.
It is. It's grown over time as the property has grown. But Doug, it's a fun business to be in. I have a lot of employees that have worked other places, like myself, over time, and they'll all tell you, that the tribe is the best employer they've ever had.
Really?
Without any hesitation, without exception.
Because you treat you like family, I'm assuming.
It's it's a business, and it's run like a business, but the tribe has a lot of pride in taking care of employees.
Yeah, something, Larry, that continues to astound me in a really, really good way is the care that you folks put into the community. Yes, you're gaming, and it's entertainment, it's gaming, but I see the charities that you support, including the Chamber of Commerce, but I see there was some group, I forget the name of it, that's adjacent to your property, that there was some kind of event going on a few days ago, and you guys give a lot back to the community on an annual basis.
Historically in the gaming business, that's common. From the time I was a young guy, we were expected to be involved in something in our community.
Okay.
Different companies have different policies and practices, but, most often I think the overarching theory is be involved in your community in something you care about. And so we have a lot of people that do that. And today what I see is we as a company end up supporting very often what is important to employees. So an employee says, I have a child with a certain medical condition, and I want us to participate in a walk to support that specific condition. That person taking that leadership role will make a difference, and other people will join in and gladly help and get out there and support.
Do you know off the top of your head how many charities that you support just from your location alone?
Oh, personally, I don't.
Okay.
One of the things we do as a company is, funnel all that information through a system, at our corporate office,
right.
It's an umbrella called Hard Rock Heals.
Because it seemed like every time I turn around, you guys are doing something good for somebody. And,
Try.
And well, and I'm not saying that to be nice to you because you support us. It's just obvious to me, because I watch the news every day and I see what you folks are doing out there. And it's also genuine. You know what I'm saying? It's when you do it with a feeling of heart and soul. Like you said, if you've got an employee who has a child with special needs and they care about that disease or about that, you can sense it, you can see it, and you can also sense. And what I also like about coming out to Seminole Coconut Creek is the atmosphere of the employees. The employees out there all appear to be very happy all the time.
Well, I would like to think so, Doug, but the reality is when you get into a large group of people, we have some people that are just natural superstars. Most of us are just, good people doing a job, working to support our family and participating in, whatever we do as a company. And like any, large organization, there's a couple people that are, disengaged.
Yeah. Well,
and, part of my role, I think it's my role, is removing those folks from the company.
Well, leadership comes from the top. We all know that. If you have just dropped in on this, I'm Doug Evans. I'm the president and CEO of the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce. I'm here with Larry Buck, who is the major domo of the Seminole Coconut Creek Casino here in Florida, out on Sample Road, if you know the area. If you are listening here locally, go out there. And one of the reasons to go out there is gaming, of course, which I play the slot machines. So I just will admit I play the slot machines. I'm not too smart with all the other games, but I do like to do that. It's fun for me. But I go out there to enjoy the food and beverage service. And I will tell you, I have never had steaks like I have had steaks in your NYY Steak House restaurant. And when I was first told about that you had this restaurant on the property on Sample Road, I thought, oh, casino food? How is that going to be? How bad can that be? I'm blown away. It's one of my favorite places. I'm blown away every time I do this. So you just have the one NYY Steak location, or do you have more than one?
We have one NYY Steak that we operate in the casino. Our other steak houses that are really well known in Hard Rock, both in Hollywood and Tampa, are called Candid, and you see that name more around the country.
Okay.
But it's the same type of steak. We use the same purveyors, same policy procedures, et cetera. So I'm certainly really proud of NYY. But Candid is pretty good too, Doug.
Is it really?
It's awesome.
And how did the relationship develop with NYY with the Yankees? How did that all kind of come about?
It was before my time, so I'm not exactly sure. But I gotta believe that having two Council Oaks just 15 or 20 minutes apart to me wasn't desirable.
Right.
So had to find a different name, a different theme. As you know, there's a lot of Northeasterners that come down I-95 and spend time here in Palm Beach County, Broward County, Miami-Dade County, and there's a lot of Yankee fans. I'm not a Yankee fan, by the way, and I hear that a lot. Just the other day, I talked to a guy who's like, I'm an avid Red Sox fan, and it took me a lot to walk through those front doors.
I love it.
But I really enjoyed the memorabilia and an awesome meal. And it was fun. I hear that type of story a lot.
Well, what's really neat about it is, there is all the memorabilia on the walls, which is totally cool. Also, it's to me, when you go out there and it's an experience. I mean, the service is 5-star. It's 10-star. It's service beyond par excellence. The food is nothing short of amazing. The steaks, I don't know where you get your steaks from, but can you see the look on my face? I mean, for those of you who are not watching this but listening to it, if you see me, I just light up when I talk about this place, that it's just super, super amazing. But you have your own butcher?
We do.
Who takes care of all of this? And
we
ages the steaks a certain way?
All of it.
Well, I know that there are other businesses who've been out there. I was in attendance at a dinner one night where they're envious of the way you age your steaks, and they're going to try to replicate this because it was so darn good. But I think they have a long way to go to try to figure that out.
There's a lot of good steakhouses out there. Where we are, the very northern part of Broward County, you look just across the county line into Boca, there's a lot of good steakhouses out there. But I think the competition helps keep us all on our toes and, keeps us all, better than we might be without that competition.
So the things to get are the steaks, the bacon, and the carrot cake, as far as I'm concerned. I'm like...
Your cardiologist would not recommend that bacon, so I wouldn't eat it every day. But if you go, it's a must do. So what about the future of the location? Is it going to grow some more? I mean, do you have the land to grow there, or if there's anything that you can share that's not a big secret about the growth? Because you do so many great things out there. You had the July 4th fireworks on July 3rd, which was totally cool with the drone show. You're always doing special events there, and I think what's nice about it is, yes, it gets people there, but they're totally cool. Yes.
They're totally cool, and they're family-oriented and family-friendly. I thought the July 3rd fireworks was so absolutely amazing. And, of course, the weather gods parted and made it all work for you. But are there any growth opportunities for the facility itself?
Really lucky with that July 3rd weather.
It worked.
And you mentioned casinos do a lot of things, that are family-friendly. And certainly the fireworks night is family-friendly. And most of what we do in the gaming business is a little bit over the top. So, each year the fireworks show has gotten, bigger and better. And, we added more and more drones. I got to tell you, the first time I saw drones, I was looking up thinking, that is really cool. And they do amazing things with the program. I frankly don't know exactly how they do it all, but they do it well. But a lot of the stuff we do is not family-friendly because it's gaming.
It's adults.
We
it's
really
adult.
don't want to market to underage people.
No.
I have people reach out to us just the other day. Our local high school wanted to do their junior ROTC banquet at our facility, and I said no.
Yeah.
We don't want underage people coming to the facility. Coming through for with a parent for a meal, okay,
right.
But we don't want them hanging around the casino. It's just not appropriate.
No, it's not appropriate. But when you do wonderful things to the community, that's when you have the junior ROTC call you because they see you're doing good things in the community. Are there opportunities out there for physical expansion of the plant itself?
We always talk about building a hotel and expanding the casino. The last expansion was in 2012.
Oh wow,
and that got it to the size that you see it today. But we just continue to grow as a company, as a specific property, as a business. And so, as the president of that specific property, I'd say, we're ripe for future growth.
Right.
Our CEO says, Larry, you're going to have a hotel there at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of good projects out there, and we just can't do them all at once.
I would think to have a hotel in that location would be ideal because I don't know that there's a whole lot around out there like that at that juncture.
No, if you think about, our business, as you go north of Coconut Creek, the next nearest casino going north is up in the Carolinas.
Really?
There's not a lot out there. Florida's obviously a very big state, and there's nothing north of us. And so you'll see some people from, say, Jacksonville, they'll go to our Tampa property.
Right.
But our business at our property, Coconut Creek, once you get an hour north, people don't come down as often.
Sure.
If you think about it, people being people, and especially responsible adults, it's difficult to say, hey, let's drive, an hour to Coconut Creek, might have a great meal, play a little bit, have a couple drinks. But as soon as you say, have a couple drinks, people are hesitant to get back on the road.
Right, as they should be.
And so when we look at, our market penetration by zip code, once we get, north of an hour away from us, penetration really drops off. So a hotel, would allow us to have more people come down from further away and stay overnight and enjoy the facility more safely.
Now, I know it's not under your umbrella, but it's part of the company. You just opened a new casino in Brighton?
Yes.
Is that Brighton, Florida? Is that the name of
Florida. It's right on the northern side of Lake Okeechobee.
Wow. So huge expansion. You were telling me before we got started that it started off as like a bingo hall?
Years ago, it started out as a bingo hall. Literally, the general manager there is a guy named Marty. His father started it. He has intense pride in that property, but it's now grown twice. And so they really just abandoned the old smaller facility, built a brand new one just down the road in Brighton, and it's doing gangbusters business.
Wow, that's great.
So a lot of folks along the Treasure Coast can now kind of head west.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Instead of south, they can go over there. But it's all part of the same enterprise.
Yes.
So, whether they go to Seminole, Coconut Creek, or they go, to Brighton, or they go to Tampa, or they go to Fort Lauderdale, it's all part of the same enterprise.
People go to the different properties for different reasons. They all have a little bit of a different personality.
They totally do. I mean, the vibe is different when you go to the big one in Fort Lauderdale with the guitar. I call it the Guitar Hotel. It's a totally different vibe than yours. And they're all different. And they're all great, but it's palpable when you walk in the feeling, right? And they're all friendly. I mean, they're all like very friendly, wonderful, beautiful places. But it's totally different. So I'd be curious. I might have to drive to Brighton to see what that's all about myself, just to kind of check it out.
Similarly, but before I ran the Coconut Creek property, I ran the Classic property, which is also in Hollywood, literally across the street from the Guitar Hotel.
Oh, really?
Hard Rock. And it is what I would describe as the quintessential locals casino. And I really enjoyed my time there because it's super convenient for players to get in and out. It's the smaller place, so you can feel like the bigger fish in a smaller pond. The employees get to know you if you're a regular player, and it's just a really different vibe than Hard Rock across the street, which is much bigger.
Much bigger.
Great amenities, kind of world-class amenities, nothing like it in South Florida. But, when I was speaking to our employee orientation groups, I would tell them that our goal at Classic is to be what Hard Rock is not, and their goal is to be what Classic is not. So that, a guest might have two different options. And hopefully one option appeals to you as a guest. And, so I would, a little bit of tongue in cheek, of course, say that if I was dating a woman and I wanted to impress her, I would take her to the, Hard Rock because the pool is crazy cool.
Sure.
The Guitar Hotel, the amenities, the number of restaurants, et cetera, there's nothing like it. But if we got married, I would go to Classic every day because it's just a warm, friendly, cozier vibe.
Is it? Okay. Before we wrap up, I understand that you're building another big guitar hotel in Las Vegas.
The company purchased the Mirage,
right,
which was Steve Wynn's first big themed foray into Vegas.
Steve Wynn again. Here we go.
He seems to work his way around the industry. And so we bought the Mirage. It's now closed, and they're constructing another guitar hotel. It'll be leaning right over the Vegas Strip.
No
it's
kidding.
It's going to be an iconic facility.
Wow.
And again, when we talk about the growth of our company, it's interesting. If you ever get a chance to listen to Jim Allen speak, it is so interesting. He's interesting as a person, but to hear about the company and the growth and everything he's got us involved in, it's super fun.
It's quite the vision. You've been listening to Your Palm Beach Guide. I'm Doug Evans, President and CEO of the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce. I'm here with Larry Buck, who is the president of the Seminole Coconut Creek Casino. Thank you for coming in today. More importantly, thank you for all you do for the community.
Pleasure.
One of the things that I think is critical and important is that you guys give back so much. And I wanted people to know more about the restaurant and more about the casino here locally because I thoroughly enjoy it myself. But I also want them to know that you are a major employer here in the market and you also give back a lot to the community. So thank you for coming in. We really appreciate it. So wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, pick it up. We drop a new one every Wednesday. And if you have a chance to come visit the Palm Beaches and come to the Seminole Coconut Creek Casino, one of our chamber members, our proud chamber members, because we'd love to have you experience everything out there also. Make it a great day.